Today I'd like to continue our journey through chapter 10 of the Gospel of Matthew. Early on in chapter 10, Jesus has chosen 12 disciples. Matthew seems to prefer that term to apostles. And now he is going to commission the 12 and send them out. So we're looking at verses 5 to 13 of that section. Jesus sent out these 12 after instructing them thus: "Do not go into pagan territory or enter a Samaritan town." So in verse 5, we see Jesus instructing them exactly where they are to go. So the instruction of Jesus seems to be very specific and comprehensive. The 12 are sent only to Israel, just like Jesus. In Matthew 15:24, he said in reply, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." So Jesus seems to be concentrating primarily in his ministry on the people in Israel itself, and not in the pagan territory, not in the Samaritan towns. This might be reflective in Matthew of an original Jewish Christian refusal of the mission to the Gentiles. There always seems to be this tension as we look carefully at the Christian scriptures of what the mission should be. How far should the mission extend? Should the mission include the Gentiles or not include the Gentiles? We're going to see mixed messages in Matthew. Certainly in Luke, there's more of an understanding of reaching out to the Gentiles in his gospel, and of course, tremendously in the Acts of the Apostles. But initially, there seems to be this reluctance. Well, what is our mission? After all, Jesus was Jewish. The earliest followers were Jewish. They totally embraced the Jewish practices. They celebrated all the Jewish feasts. They accepted and studied and proclaimed the Hebrew scriptures, as well as the message of Jesus about the Hebrew scriptures. So there's this close bonding, of course, between Judaism and this message of Jesus. So exactly when and how we should approach others was always going to be a question, and how we should do that without renouncing our heritage, without renouncing the Jewish part of our faith. And for Matthew, this seems to be reflective of a limitation that Jesus himself initiates. That Jesus' focus is really on Israel and the people of Israel, and not on the Gentiles, not on the Samaritans. So this tension becomes very interesting as we look at the Christian scriptures. Jesus says in verse 6, "Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." So, lost sheep. Well, exactly what does that mean, lost sheep? Maybe those who were not too active in their practice of Judaism. Maybe those who were looking for a deeper spiritual experience than they had already. But Jesus is saying there are lost sheep out there. So think of them, go to those lost sheep. And then in verse 7, as you go, make this proclamation: the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So that is to be that proclamation. The kingdom of heaven is here. Jesus has arrived. That's the message. It's interesting that this is the same proclamation of John the Baptist. John the Baptist has that message too: the kingdom is now. So it's the idea that now is our decision time. Now is our moment to say, well, should we embrace this following of God? Should we renew our faith? Should we embrace our faith more fully? Can we practice our faith in a better way? Can we have more love for God, more love for our sisters and brothers? What can we do to activate this kingdom of God, which might be kind of asleep at us? And of course, this is always the concern that we have today. It's, you might say it's an ancient concern, but it's a very contemporary concern. What am I doing to activate that faith within me? Is my faith too passive? Am I pursuing justice? Am I reaching out to those that are in need enough? Can I do more? Should I embrace the message in a deeper way? Always seems to be the issue for us. The kingdom of heaven is here, is at hand. Am I embracing it? Am I following it? Am I really doing as I should be doing? And Jesus goes on to elaborate about this kingdom and the signs of the kingdom, what the kingdom will bring. Jesus says, cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse lepers, drive out demons. Without cost you have received, without cost you are to give. Quite the ambitious goals here when you reflect on this. Sometimes we read this and say, oh, that's, nice that Jesus is saying they're going to do this, And then you look at each of these things and you say, hey, wait a minute, cure the sick. I mean, there's plenty of sick all around, and we have, of course, our hospitals, doctors, medical personnel. They're kind of, well, they should cure the sick. But we also have a role, don't we, in curing the sick, by reaching out and doing whatever we can to make people feel comfortable and to show our concern, drive them to the doctors, make sure they get the right medical attention. Then Jesus says, raise the dead. Well, this is quite the challenge. Now we have to raise the dead. I mean, this seems to be a little bit beyond. Is Jesus asking too much of the disciples, the 12? Is he asking too much of us? Does he want us to raise the dead? How do I go about doing that? Raises some interesting questions for us. I mean, how much can we embrace of this message? This message of the kingdom of heaven is at hand. I should be raising the dead, cleansing lepers, reaching out to those who have those types of illnesses where they are isolated from society. Because, again, the amazing thing about the lepers is that they were not part of the community. They were thrown out. And who are we throwing out today? Who are we marginalizing today? Who are we reducing today in terms of their dignity and their worth as part of our community? We have, of course, that tremendous movement in our society, which is to be much commended, of helping the disabled, reaching out to those that are physically challenged, those are mentally challenged. How can we do that in a better way to include them in the community? Sometimes we tend to isolate them, and what Jesus is saying here is no, cleanse them, restore them to the community. And then finally to drive out the demons. Again, a big challenge. Where are the demons today? How can I drive them out? Satan is considered to be the father of lies. So is there untruthfulness today? Is there lying today? Can I drive that out? Can I drive those demons? Those demons that tend to possess people and really grab hold of people and change their lives and ruin their lives. Can I drive out those demons that are present today? And then Jesus, in ending verse 8, says, without cost you have received, without cost you are to give. So you're not supposed to charge for this. This is, something that is given freely. This is something that I do as a follower of Jesus. Jesus has given me this call, so I'm not to charge for this. When I cure the sick, I'm not to ask for a donation. When I drive out the demons, I'm not to look for money or recompense for this. When I'm curing the sick and helping the sick, I do it because I am part of the kingdom of God. I am embracing the kingdom of God. I am following Jesus in the kingdom. So it's a different attitude that Jesus gives us, an attitude of responding to the call that we have been given, the call to say, the kingdom of heaven is here, the kingdom of heaven is now.